What's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of Bammo Football on YouTube. Can I get a roll tide? Inside the comment box today is Tuesday, February 11th. I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you very much for always joining the show. Remember, these are also uploaded to Spotify and to Apple Podcasts. I also have a Patreon channel as well, which I really appreciate your consideration. That is push pinned atop the message. So today on the show, what we're going to talk about, Keelan Russell and some of the comments that he had in an On3 interview with Nick Schultz. That's a really good interview. I'd recommend everybody go read that. Talking about the excitement of Ryan Grubb, and I think it provides further optimism going into this coming season. We're also going to hit on a couple photos that were released from Alabama football, talking about the fourth quarter program now that that's in full swing, and as we get closer to the month of March, which will have Alabama football practicing in spring game. And later on in the week, if you're wondering about it, we'll hit on this Alabama and Auburn game, but let Alabama take on Texas first. And that back end of Alabama's basketball schedule is absolutely phenomenal. We are also going to talk about Alabama's coaching staff. That'll be the meat of our show today. I'll go over every single coach one by one, and you'll kind of see what Alabama has from a coaching standpoint, from all the way up top to the sports and science head with Jeff Allen, David Ballou. Will go one by one. And I want to get your approval rating on each of those guys and post some questions for you inside the comment box. So all that and more, and we start with talking about Keelan Russell. He had some comments talking about Ryan Grubb. And again, the article is on On3. And he said that the way that he phrased it, he's really looking forward to working with Ryan Grubb, considering what he did with Michael Penix Jr. during his time at Washington. And I was thinking about this. I was like, you know what? It must be so exciting for Keelan Russell or for any of the quarterbacks coming in to be able to have an offensive coordinator like Ryan Grubb. And yes, Nick Sheridan is still going to be the quarterback's coach. But I'm thinking like high level here, because I think when you let me ask you this inside the comment box. Go ahead and list top offensive coordinators right now in college football. And whoever you guys come up with inside the comment box, tack on Ryan Grubb as well. And that's what I'm kind of getting at. And I'll continue to say this probably for the next couple months or so. We were first excited about Kalen DeBoer because we knew that he was coming with Ryan Grubb. And that is why it hurt so bad when we learned that Ryan Grubb initially wasn't coming that first year. We wanted Kalen DeBoer, and we wanted to welcome him, but we wanted to welcome Ryan Grubb and the offense that he was going to bring to Alabama, because we felt collectively that Alabama's offense was not moving the direction that it should be under the previous offensive coordinators. Now, we all understand that Nick Sheridan came here and, it was in over his head. I think at times he did okay, but for the most part, man, it's got to be a hell of a jump being expected to be the tight ends coach here to be the OC. Now you get the guy who you really want to be here, and you get and think about it from Ryan Grubb's perspective. He don't have to work with the previous quarterback. He gets to work with Keelan Russell, Ty Simpson, and Austin Mack. Maybe Ryan Grubb's a genius, right? And so if you're getting here and you're like, well, what's Nick Sheridan going to do? I'm going to go by every single coach. I have every single coach lined up. We're going to go by every single coach, but Nick Sheridan will just be working with the quarterback. So that's what he's listed at for now. But inside the comment box, I'm asking you for like top offensive minds. And like Jeff inside the comment box, who's a fan funder, which I really appreciate, says Steve Sarkisian, Lincoln Riley, Lane Kiffin, add on Ryan Grubb. Right? That is the type of OC that is now Alabama. And that's the fact. And that's what Keelan Russell is talking about. He's like, he says legendary. He says the offense is about to turn up. And I would imagine that all the offense, knowing that Ryan Grubb is now on the staff, is super excited for what's to come for Alabama in general. I saw the whole thing about good cop, bad cop. I thought that was a good take. We don't really know much about Ryan Grubb. I watched some of his interviews when he was with Seattle. We'll see what he does here. He'll get a lot of opportunities to talk to the media. And I'm overly excited for it, to be honest. Because for the last, 4 years, the offensive coordinators here have been, I don't even know if they've been mid. They've been less than. So Happy for the quarterbacks, happy for the running backs, the receivers, all those guys that are coming back on the offense. And we've already talked about the guys coming back on defense. My goodness. All right. So I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. I see Max in the house, Chris from New Jersey, Chris Waltman, Joshua. What's up, man? I appreciate you being here. Jeff, Xavier, Kevin, good to have you in the show. Nicole, what's up? Bama in Georgia outdoors. What's going on? I appreciate you coming to us from Powder Springs. And Herman's been checking in. I appreciate you being here. All right. The fourth quarter program. This is a photo courtesy of the University of Alabama. I'm sure you follow them on their social media channels. Has its fourth quarter program is in full swing. I love the fourth quarter program. I feel that the fourth quarter program, and I'm glad that Coach Kalen DeBoer wanted to keep it, because I feel that this really sets the tempo for spring football. Things like we see spring football and we see the limited practices and stuff like that, but you don't see the everyday output that these guys are putting in. And this is a really great time to build that brotherhood and continuity, right? I always talk about my workout group and how much I get from it. It's that brotherhood that you build in January and February that gets you ready for the springtime, right? In the summertime, it's a little bit more individual, which is fine. But the fourth quarter, I think, really sets a tone. And I'm looking to see which particular leaders that Coach Kalen DeBoer speaks about as we get to the opening month of spring football. Great photo right here of a guy we're all excited about, Bryce Hubbard, coming back. Herman is asking, where can you purchase those fourth quarter T-shirts? Good question. That would be nice to have some fourth quarter swag. I don't know. Maybe I'll look around. I think that might just be like a team thing. But, yeah, fourth quarter, that's what's up. Anyways, fourth quarter program in full swing, and I'm sure if you follow Alabama football, they'll be releasing more photos as these guys continue to put in work. All right, meat of the show, I'm going to talk about Alabama's coaching staff, from the head coach all the way to the general manager. So sit tight, and here we go. I'm going to talk about every single coach, kind of list a couple items about each coach, and then ask you about each coach's approval rating. So that's how the show will work today. And I just came up with this really yesterday when Nick Sheridan was announced as the quarterback's coach. I was like, we'll talk about the coaching staff. So here we go. Coach Kalen DeBoer, head football coach, 9-4 in his first season at Alabama, 5-3 in SEC, did not make the playoffs, did finish with the number 3 recruiting class, making $10 million per year. Okay. So what I want to ask you, Undefeated, what is your current approval rating on a scale of 1 to 10 for Coach Kalen DeBoer going into 2025 spring football? 10 is like through the roof. You're all on board. 7, you're like, okay, a little bumpy, but we got this. 5, you're like, man, I don't know. It's kind of mid. And like 4 and below, you're just like, this isn't the guy. I'm kind of feeling a little bit more optimistic about Coach Kalen DeBoer. I don't know what, other people are saying out there on their platforms. It would be interesting to see kind of like a media personality approval rating of Coach Kalen DeBoer. I was kind of floating in there, like maybe like 6 after the season, but now I'm kind of going to 7. Samuel's at 4. He just doesn't believe, which is fine. I'm right with you. We are completely it seems like we're all on the same base, like 7. But Samuel's he's not feeling it. And I've been really surprised to see kind of that. And I think this shows you the love for Alabama football, because I feel that fans are willing to give him that grace period within the first year, which I was surprised by, because the standard here is like championship. People understand like excellence, and they want excellence to be continued. But one of the things that Coach Kalen DeBoer did do that I think was, I kind of looked to the bigger picture things that he did, like this number 2, number 3 recruiting class, wherever you want to look at it, that's monumental. Undefeated at home, brought in Ryan Williams, brought in Courtney Morgan. Those are like big picture 10 out of those are big picture home runs. Ryan Grubb, another home run. So I guess he hits home runs in like the month of February. there was a couple of things that you can go, back and forth about Coach Kalen DeBoer. Clearly, I think one of the biggest things that bothered me was that whole Jalen Milroe thing at quarterback. I can't wait to see like the 30 for 30 on, why didn't you bench Milroe? Who knows? And some of the other things from like a cultural standpoint just didn't seem to mesh well. But big picture wise, he does have some major wins. MHJ inside the comment box. I can't stand his interviews. He never answers questions. I would agree with that. I do not think, like, from an interview standpoint, it's very interesting at all. That's one of the biggest things too, is like his message, at least to the media, is completely different than what we were used to. It's like the complete opposite of like entertaining. Going back to the positives, it seems like the players do really like him as a coach and are really excited about playing under him going into another season. Yeah, Jarvis, I would agree with that. It's kind of like a word salad type interviews. But he does answer a couple things openly. Just a completely different vibe up on the podium. All right, so that's Coach Kalen DeBoer. It looks like we're about 7 for Coach Kalen DeBoer, which I think is probably accurate. Okay, Ryan Grubb. On this one, I'm going to ask you your excitement level on a scale of 1 to 10 because this is his first season. He's a new hire. He was fired from Seattle. But let's start right here. Give me your approval rating. Or no. Give me your excitement level for Ryan Grubb. 1 out of 10. 10 is like, hell yeah, let's do this. 7, you're like, okay. I'm excited, but I want to see like it happen. 4, you're just like, it's going to be the same stuff. I think I'm a little bit more bullish on this. I think I'm probably like an 8.5. I'm with Bernard Phillips inside the comment box. Like I was saying in the opening program, this is one of the best minds in college football on the offensive side of the ball. I think what made me a little bit scared was kind of like what happened at Seattle. But now understanding that Seattle didn't have all the components to really run the football to begin with because of some offensive line issues, I don't think that's going to seep into this coming year, especially when you have the running back room that you have. I think he'll be able to have a balanced attack that is pass first, that can be able to run the football, and I think that he'll be very creative with the talent that he has for like Ryan Williams, getting like a Jalen Held the football or like a Cole Adams or something like that. And I think that the running backs will be fed. I kind of don't feel that they'll be a featured back right now, but I do feel that those running backs will be able to run the ball. Now, offensive line has to be able to, open up some lanes, and I think that was a big issue last year too. But overall, from like a philosophy standpoint, like schematics, I don't know. I'm pretty excited about it, to be honest. I might be at a 9. And I don't know what his salary will be. One thing I was going to do, and maybe I'll do this maybe for tomorrow, but if somebody wants to, and you guys could even help me, compile how much money Alabama is spending on its staff, right, per season. I would imagine that Ryan Grubb is probably making like 2.5. Now, they haven't announced how much he's making. I would imagine one of the team reporters, Nick Kelly or Tony Sukalas, Charlie Potter, one of those guys, breaks a story on that. You got to think like 2.5, right? That's kind of, there's no way he's making 3, but the offensive coordinator gets being paid more and more. I saw Chip Kelly with the Raiders in the NFL is making like 6.5 per year. That's wild. And I think Penn State's new DC is making what, like $4 million or something like that from Ohio State? $4 million for an assistant coach. Okay, Nick Sheridan. Now, yesterday, 247 Bama's Alex Scarborough broke this story that Nick Sheridan will be the quarterback's coach. We knew that he was going to be retained on staff. We just didn't know if he was going to be like co-tight ends coach, or I don't know. So he's the quarterbacks coach. I would imagine he still works closely with Ryan Grubb and helps with the offense in some component, but it'll be Ryan Grubb who is calling the plays. So let me ask you like this. With Nick Sheridan coming back, Herman's already -0. How are you feeling about Nick Sheridan on a scale of 1 to 10 coming back to Bama or staying with Bama? You like 10, you're feeling like, yeah, okay, quarterbacks, let's go. 7, you're like, okay, whatever. 5, you're just like, 4, you're just like, man, wish this dude would kick rocks. I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, you can have as many on-the-field coaches. So Alabama, I mean, it'd be interesting to see how much this guy has paid this year. And I figured the rankings would, or the input would be lower on the low side with Nick Sheridan. He was the guy that got a lot of the blame for last year. There's always one coach that does. It went from Pete Golding to Nick Sheridan. Nobody was more disliked than Pete Golding here. But, man, what's he going to make? If he was making 1.3 in 2004 or 2024, is he making, like, just for the quarterbacks? There's some very important quarterbacks there. That's an important job. What do you pay a quarterbacks coach? Like 400? 200? 200,000? I don't know. Does he make that big of a, is it that big of a demotion? I don't know how much they're paying. I can't wait to see. Larry Large is saying DeBoer is very loyal to his assistants. Yeah. Most of these guys that have coached, together, they like to take care of their own. That's how business works. All right. Robert Gillespie, a guy that we don't talk enough about. Okay. He's the running backs coach and assistant head coach. That's his title. He's in his 5th season. He worked with Coach Saban. Remember, he came from North Carolina. He's labeled as a key recruiter on Alabama official website. He has 10 running backs that went to the NFL, right? And making $850 per season. What's kind of your overall assessment about Robert Gillespie, his approval rating? How are you feeling about how he's been able to work with the running backs? We don't really talk about Coach Gillespie a lot. You haven't had a 1,000-yard running back in 3 seasons. Is that on Gillespie? Is that more on the offense overall? In terms of like the development, how has he developed some of the running backs that have been here? Recruiting, right? It's a big area as well. Seems like some high approval ratings. I think this is I'd probably say like maybe a 8. I don't really have too much to complain about Robert Gillespie. Jason's like, we have running backs. So Kevin back on Sheridan is saying 1.4. Yeah, that's what we were saying. So I don't know how much he's going to make for just coaching quarterbacks. Robert Gillespie here making $850 and labeled as an assistant head coach. Yeah, I think Gillespie, and the times that I've been at Alabama and I've seen him working with the running backs, I'm not going to lie, I really like the coaching that I see from him. You can see a lot from just coaching. Some guys are over talking. Some guys have some really quality drills. Some guys are leading with that kind of alpha mentality. I see a lot of positives from Robert Gillespie. Tony inside the comment box, someone needs to come out with the college football cereal. Alabama could be a red script day. Ooh, man, I like this game. You could have all the mascots, right? Collect all the mascots in your bowl of cereal now. What would it be called? College football cereal? Yeah, college football cereal. That's it. CFC. You have CTC. Does anybody know what CTC is for cereal? Nobody's going to know this one. CTC. That's a trivia question for today. What is a cereal that we refer to in my house as CTC? All right. Everybody's liking Robert Gillespie. All right. Jamarcus Shepard. Let's start with his approval rating first. Now, he has 3 titles: wide receiver coach, assistant head coach, and co-offensive coordinator. So, yeah, Jarvis, you got it, man. Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Yo, Cinnamon Toast Crunch is woof. Man, that's one of the goats. So Arvar Jackson inside the comment box is straight up saying 2. Arvar, what's up, man? Is it Avar? Why are you saying 2? You know what? I like Jamarcus Shepard. I'm not gonna lie, man. I feel it's nice to see. Well, what's been nice under Coach Kalen DeBoer is the opportunity to hear these assistant coaches speak. I actually kind of like that. I don't know if I like the whole Monday hearing from like the OC and DC. I think that gets a little bit, because they can't say like what they really want to say because the head coach is, the head coach. But like, when they do the roundtable talks, like after practice, I've really enjoyed that. And getting to hear from some of these coaches, you understand where they are mentally and how polished these coaches are. You never saw that with Coach Saban. That's one of the things that I've really liked about Coach Kalen DeBoer. I think it helps sell the brand, and I think that helps recruiting as well. Like Jamarcus Shepard, what wide receiver out there does not want to get coached by this guy? I think he's kind of like, he has that energy to be the hype man. I think he's a very quality assistant coach, and I would imagine he's going to be a head coach at some point. Holman Wiggins was the previous wide receiver coach. And you know what? Jamarcus Shepard, with the wide receivers that he has this year, these wide receivers, I'm already kind of feeling that this will be some of the best wide receivers that we've had in several seasons. So Jamarcus Shepard his stock could really be on the rise. Yeah, Rocket Town, I agree, man. In terms of like that hype, that energy, it kind of like spills over into you, right? Yeah, so I'm all on board with Jamarcus Shepard. Jason liked the Holman Wiggins. Holman, Brandon was hitting hard, saying Holman was a straight up bum. Damn. All right. Chris Kapilovic. By the way, Coach Kapilovic's son just signed with Southern Miss as a long snapper. I watched his son play. My son played at Northridge as well this past season, and Coach Kapilovic's son was an absolute beast. Like this guy, he was a monster at the high school level. He was our best. I guess he was our best player. He played tight end, man, big, nasty. He was a touchdown monster. So Coach Kapilovic comes in for the offensive line a little bit lower than I would imagined. I don't know if that's on like the players or the coaches, like the old, is it Jimmy's and Joe's, X's and O's? But I think in year 2 with the offensive line, you start to see kind of the development of guys. I mean, remember, this is his second season. He's working with Elijah Pritchett. He's working with Wilcom Formby, those guys in developmental process. Think about this. Coach Kapilovic has a hell of an opportunity to be able to transform Wilcom Formby into the guy we hope Wilcom Formby could be. And that might be what he is judged on, unless Alabama gets one hell of a right tackle from the transfer portal. But I would imagine, like, if we compare 2024 to 2023, I feel the offensive line was better, but the offensive line still underachieved. And I think they underachieved because Jaden Roberts was injured and the right tackle position was just terrible. But the left side was good. Like from center on to the left side, I thought that was pretty good. Eric D disagrees. He's saying the offensive line did not get better. Larry Large is saying, he brings up a point. He's like, he cut the sacks in half in the first year. Yeah, what did Milroe get sacked in 2023? 44 times or something like that? Yeah, I don't know, Eric. I think he got back. I think the offensive line improved, but it's still underachieved, if that makes sense. And if you were looking for information on Scott Huff, I talked about this yesterday. Scott Huff has been hired as a tight ends coach with the Rams. So Kapilovic coming back from year 2. Brian Ellis, he's a tight ends coach. He's also entering his second year. Man, he's making $500,000 more for the tight ends coach. Damn, that's some good cheddar. How are we feeling about Brian Ellis here? And I think when you look to like what Brian Ellis has to work with too, and I continue to say this, I just don't feel that Alabama has like an overly dynamic tight end. So this guy working with the tight ends that he has, CJ Dupree is pretty good. Danny Lewis, man, I'm really hoping for him to have a big year this year. I don't know if he has it or not. Maybe he hears this and he uses that as kind of some reverse rat poison. Josh Cuevas is damn good. He's good. $3,422 is like, man, I'll coach the tight ends for $250 a year, right? Man, that's a lot of cheddar for just the tight ends coach. Damn. Other tight ends I'm looking to see, like you have Marshall Pritchett coming in, Caleb Edwards. I think Jay Lindsey's back as well. Yeah, I don't know. Tough to grade some of these second year guys. Like I don't know what to say about Ellis. Because, like, Dupree's not really, like, his guy. Maybe we'll have more data points after this season. But I think if I was to ask you about Josh Cuevas, you probably give me really good feedback on Cuevas. And he's probably kind of might be like a secret sauce kind of weapon guy coming back in the SEC. Chris Waldman's a little bit behind, saying 3 on Sheridan. All right. Yeah, that's where most of the ratings were. Okay, moving to the defensive side of the ball. All right. You got Kane Womack, defensive coordinator, second year, 1.5 per year. This was an interesting one with Coach Kane Womack. Go ahead and add your approval rating inside the comment box on Kane Womack. Because we went back and forth. Like, if we were to go back and read our receipts, I feel that there was a lot of... There were a few points in time where we were cursing Womack. But I do feel, and this is even, I would imagine that we're feeling the same way, but towards the back end of the season, it seemed like they started to make a little bit of progression. And I'll tell you where I saw progression, 2 areas. One was in the secondary. For whatever reason, I don't know why, the secondary seemed to get better. Maybe it was because they grew up. Maybe it was because Bray Hubbard was playing. Maybe, Malachi Moore's leadership I don't know. But it seemed like the secondary got better. And then also against Michigan, they had some really good stops within the red zone. I don't know. I just kind of saw like a turning point with the defense. Compounded on the fact that, I don't know, I kind of like him. He seems like I kind of want to have like a beer with him. I don't know why. It's just, maybe it's because he's from like LA. I don't know. But it seems like my approval rating for him is a little bit higher. I might, 7, maybe 8, 7, 8. It's kind of high for Kane Womack. Tony Collins points out inside the comment box, Womack had his dad in the background keeping things legit. Daddy Womack was a dude last year. And he's going to look, this defense should be very talented with the experience that they have back, playmakers, all this. I would imagine that he gets some opportunities following the season to be a head football coach. Jalen inside the comment box posts out, Alabama gave out the least amount of points since the legendary 2017 defense. Damn. And that was the first season with a very young secondary. Damn, 9 out of 10. That's a really good stat. Appreciate it. Gavin, Roll Tide Roll. Man, moving back to Las Cruces soon? What's up, man? As soon as you get back to Las Cruces, New Mexico, okay, you got to go to Chachi's, okay, and you got to have the enchilada plate for me. Las Cruces, I spent some time there. Went to school at New Mexico State. Man, I would do anything. And you know what the thing about in Las Cruces is the gas stations there, every single gas station for the most part, they have an area in the back where you can go and get breakfast burritos. It's like heaven on earth. Oh, man, that's what's up. Okay, Freddie Roach. I'm curious about this one. Freddie Roach, he's a defensive line and associate head coach. He's entering his 6th season. Him and Robert Gillespie retained from Coach Saban's staff, making a cool $1 million per season. What's your approval rating of Freddie Roach? I've seen mixed reviews on Coach Roach. 4, see? Like I watch. These are going to be all over the place. 4, 7, 8, 5. I'm telling you, it's a weird like dichotomy that we have for Freddie Roach. I'm a little bit more on the positive side, but not like over. Like I'm like a 6'5". I'm with Larry Large. That's where I'm laying. And that's the thing, like 448 inside the comment box is saying he needs to recruit better. That is where some of the criticism he gets. But I think recruiting defensive linemen, specifically defensive tackles, is the hardest thing to do in college football. Those guys are hard to get. And there's very limited quality defensive tackles. Defensive linemen are hard. Edge rushers, you can get those guys. You can develop, like turn guys into guys who have their hand in the dirt. But like big, nasty defensive tackles, man, it's hard. And MHJ inside the comment box is talking about Bo Davis. Bo Davis is a guy that Alabama fans would welcome back immediately. He's one of the most like, we wish he was here. Bo Davis falls in that line. Isn't Bo Davis he's at LSU right now? Yeah, Max Tooney beat me to it. Yeah, he's at LSU. That's a hell of an addition for LSU. I think this will be his 2nd season there. Okay. One of my favorite coaches on this staff is Mo Lindquist. It's amazing to me that Alabama still has him. Patriot Life, man. What's up with the $20 super chat? I appreciate you guys. Hey, also, I have a Patreon account now. I'm posting like some content there. My videos will be here on YouTube, but I'm posting some stuff there. It's kind of like an added perk. So, Bama Football Plus, if you want to check out Patreon, it's push pin at the top. I appreciate you guys' support. If you're like a business sponsor, company sponsor, hit me up. I need some sponsors for the show. I'm gonna say 10 for Mo Lindquist. This will be my first and only 10, I think. But I'm gonna say 10 for Mo Lindquist. I can't believe that this guy's back. He's a head football coach. I think out of all the coaches underneath Coach Kalen DeBoer, and I would imagine these guys are going to be, head coaches in due time. But he's a head football coach that you have right now at the Division I level, 100%. I think he could go to a mid program, maybe even a Power 4 program, and be a head football coach. I think he might need one more year, and he can do that. A lot of value here, man. This guy is very good, very articulate, polished, coached in the NFL, been a head football coach in college football, has a hell of a secondary coming back, did a great job developing some of these younger guys. This guy, imagine he probably had one of the most challenging positions to take over because of the fact that you only returned one starter to that secondary. That's which was Malachi Moore. Devontae Smith had some experience, but you only really return Malachi Moore. So to be able to come in, run a 4-2-5, a different defensive philosophy, and still have those players play as well as they did, especially towards the back end of the season. And I felt that he developed the guys underneath pretty good too. Like Bray Hubbard was ready to go. And some of that was probably Colin Hitchler as well, right? The coach who was let go by Alabama. But you see what I'm saying? Like overall, the group was good. Zay Mincy, he grew up on the back end of the season. Red Morgan, we saw a lot of him playing. Xavier Brown started as a freshman. So Mo Lindquist working with like a Cam Calhoun, that sounds exciting. Mo Lindquist continuing to work with Damani Jackson, Xavier Brown, all this is really exciting for sure. How about Christian Robinson making $650 a year? He's a second-year outside linebackers coach, or the Wolf position, if you want to call it. We don't really hear too much about him or Brian Ellis. But at that Wolf position, he's got that would be such a fun position to coach. That like outside of wide receivers, I would love to coach the Wolf position. Could you imagine working with Quay Rusa, Yanzi Pierre, right? Noah Carter, Justin Hill, Cavante Henry. Like, that would be so fun. Those guys are so athletic. Oh, it'd be easy. He's going to shine no matter. Like, that would be so fun to coach that position. Man, I can't wait to see Yanzi Pierre this season. That whole room is just stacked. And I guess we'll get a glimpse. I don't know. Maybe you guys have seen this on your recruiting sites or out there. I don't know. But with Cavante Henry, do you think that he's going to play that outside backer position, that Wolf position? I would imagine so. His highlight tape was phenomenal. Like him and Steve Mbua coming in, those are two guys that are like on my radar for spring football. How are those guys going to develop? And they're probably going to be ready to go. Okay, Chuck Morrell. So he's the new linebackers coach. Imagine inside linebackers. Deontay Lawson, Nakai Hill Green, Justin Jefferson, Caden Jones, right? It's probably hard to assess like your excitement level for him, but he was at Washington. He was actually at Alabama last year in kind of a support role position. He's been elevated now to be inside linebacker. So the linebackers on the roster already know him, have already been working with him before. He just has an elevated title, right? So this is another, new addition to the staff, I guess, like in terms of a major title, if you want to call it. And I have no idea what he's going to be paid. I would imagine like somewhere between, $500 and $800. I ran out of time this morning on my edits. I do all the, graphics and stuff like that. I wanted to put together like a whole list of what the coaches are being paid. Tony's liking the facial hair. All right. We'll get more on Chuck Morella, I would imagine, as we get closer to spring. Here, how about this? Local product, Jason Jones. I don't even have a photo of him like in Alabama gear yet. Salary to be announced. Working with the safeties. What's your excitement level on here? From what I was reading, people are really excited about Jason Jones. Right? Played here. He's coached in some really notable places. Most recently, I think it was North Carolina. I would love to coach the safeties, too. The safeties have, Bray, Keon Sabb. Dexter, what's up, man? I appreciate you. Thank you so much, man. Check out our Patreon account, too. It's pushpin up at the top. That's what's up, Dexter. I think it's your first time as a super chat, man. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Tony's in with the 8 on Jason Jones. You imagine coming in, coaching Keon Sabb, Ray Hubbard, Drake Kirkpatrick Jr., Zay Mincy, Ivan Taylor. That would be another fun position group to coach. Those guys are ballers. Herman, you should look up a little bit of information on Jason Jones. I would imagine you'll be happy because it's a familiar face, local product, played here, kind of cut from Alabama cloth, if you will. Yeah, you should be excited about this one. All right, Jay Nunez, he's a special teams coach. Again, second season, getting $250 per year. Lisa, what's going on to you inside the comment box? Good morning to you. Let's see, special teams. James Burnup, I like what he did last year. The field goal kicker, I don't know. I was never really sold on Graham Nicholson. I don't know. It was weird. I guess I think what it came, because all problems are like have a root problem, right? I think it was because I was just sad that we no longer had Will Reichard. I think that's why I was never able to, I didn't move on from Will Reichard cleanly. Okay, kick returners did a pretty good job. Punt returners, you know what? We went back and forth on this, but we didn't return a punt for a touchdown last year. I think the last guy to do it was Caleb Downs, right, who did it a couple seasons ago. But I did like Ryan Williams back there returning punts. But I only want Ryan Williams returning punts in high-level games. So I guess all SEC games, put Ryan Williams back there. Kind of like game situational, but if he's the best player for the job, in critical situations, you got to have Ryan Williams out there because he's like a shoestring away from taking something to the house. He just has it. That's it. Other than that, I'd probably put Jalen Ibakwe back there returning punts. And kicks, I don't know. Kendrick Law had a really long kick return. He fumbled it. Emmanuel Henderson returned, had a really nice return. I don't think we had a kick return for a touchdown last year, did we? Ephraim, that game's in Tallahassee. Florida State Bama is in Tallahassee. I think Alabama's an 8-point favorite in that game. I don't know. It just seems like when Ryan Williams, on a punt return specifically, you can't even breathe because he's moving so fast and it's just one tackle away from he's going to break one. He will return a punt. This isn't even a bold statement. Ryan Williams will return a punt for a touchdown this year. That's not shocking. I think that's what will happen. All right, a couple more guys to roll through. Jeff Allen. How about this? Jeff Allen, this story around him, entering his 17th season. I've seen him several times at the University of Alabama. Pure class, a guy's guy. Head of sports medicine. This guy is at the front of sports science. Alabama has a sports and science center right next to Mal Moore where they're able to get these players, all athletes, up to speed much faster than you or I if we were to, sprain our ankle or something like that. This guy's a 10. He was with Saban his entire career. Quality individual. When this guy leaves Alabama, that will be whoever has to fill these shoes. Oh my goodness. What? Yeah, he honestly might be a secret weapon. And from what I've seen, even over the last 3 years, guys who haven't suffered a significant injury, let's say a high ankle sprain or something like that, these guys have been able to come back in 2 weeks. This guy creates they have the fake hamstring. They're creating fake hamstrings, a hamstring apparatus for the guys to play. I mean, this is this is secret sauce type stuff right here. Look at this picture, too. Super nice guy. How about David Ballou? These guys each going with the straight up shaved head. David Ballou, it should say strength training up top. But he's entering his 6th season. He's getting paid a cool $1 million a year. That was going to be a hard jump following Coach Scott Cochran, right? But what they did when he originally came is that it was 2 guys who took over. It was Matt Ray and David Ballou. They were like, okay, we need 2 guys to replace Scott Cochran. And if you remember this, Matt Ray was like the analytics guy and was like kind of like a mad scientist. I think he's with the Saints now. And then David Ballou was like your muscle guy. I think he's done a really good. I mean, how do you kind of gauge the strength trainer? Derek say, what's up, man? Counterfeit hamstrings for sale. I don't know how you gauge this, but it seems like he's doing a fine job to me. Do you remember a couple years ago when Alabama was trying to hire? We had like a strength trainer hot board, and we were like going through guys, and we almost hired that guy from Oregon who had like the long and windy beard. He was like 27. Do you remember this guy? Last year I saw on Coach David Ballou's, I think his Instagram account or something like that, he was squatting, like, I don't know, it looked like 800 pounds or something like that. Look at this dude. And then finally, we finally end on Courtney Morgan. Courtney Morgan is the only person that I've ever known from like a coaching standpoint to get a raise before the season even started. So his first year, right, he came with Coach Kalen DeBoer. These guys are like together. Coach Kalen DeBoer implemented this general manager position, which is now every program is trying to emulate it. In fact, Stanford hired their general manager as Andrew Luck, okay? So Courtney Morgan being a general manager position, I think he came here right with Coach Kalen DeBoer. His job is like personnel management and recruiting. He's making like $500,000. USC tried to poach him during the summer last year, and Alabama upped the ante on him. So that's the thing. Alabama kept Jalen Mbakwe. Alabama kept Courtney Morgan. This guy is a relationship master. He understands relationships. He understands personnel. He's been at Washington. He's been at Michigan. Helped those teams get to the national championship game. And now he is here at Alabama in a general manager position, which you talk about home runs. So if you want to get a little bit more optimistic, home run with Ryan Grubb. Home run last season with Courtney Morgan. Home run with Ryan Williams. You see what I'm saying? You start to see those elements stack up. Knowledge Heights, what's up, man? Jamaican Bama Todd is rolling with one of the coaches we have fully supporting here. I like them, and I'm not like the rest of them. Can lock into the program. I appreciate you being here, Knowledge. Thanks, what's up? A football therapist. Yeah, and I think 24/7 Sports has an interview with him, and I'm sure a couple others have been able to talk to Courtney Morgan. He seems like a really down-to-earth type dude, and kind of his presence kind of does what it needs to do. But general manager position, Courtney Morgan, and I think this is a hell of an addition. This has been another key addition along with keeping some of the other guys. So there's your staff. I think tomorrow I'll kind of show you like by the numbers. And we'll kind of look at things that way. And we'll start to preview positional previews going forward. And we'll talk basketball too, because Alabama, Auburn, oh my goodness. It's hard. I mean, you got to play Texas first, but that game's certainly on everybody's radar. College game day coming to town. Tuscaloosa is going to be crazy. I have to cut the show a little bit. Well, we went about 15 minutes, but a couple of things. Housekeeping notes. Pinned up top, Patreon account. If you want to check out Patreon, another way to support the channel, me, which I really appreciate your consideration. And then, my workout group, F3, is really important to me. Fitness, Faith, and Fellowship. I'm a 200 guy. That means, last year I woke up 200 times to go to these workouts. Fitness, Faith, Fellowship. I have a meeting with them at 11 to talk to them about hosting a national podcast talking about men's health, getting 1% better. So I will keep you posted on that. And something that I'm really grateful for, and something that I would be really interested in adding kind of onto my plate as, F3 and kind of my workouts has been a really big catalyst to how I'm feeling today. So I'll keep you guys posted. But thanks for watching, and thanks for always being here Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Central Time, or as live news happens. I really appreciate when you guys pop on and there's live news and we can break it down. I hope the graphics were aesthetic. I hope that you guys had quality audio. I hope that you guys had a good interaction on today's show. I'm wishing you a blessed rest of your Tuesday. Stay safe, stay blessed, and stay locked on to Bama Football on YouTube. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama on this fine Tuesday, February 11th, Kyle Henderson, of Bama Football on YouTube. See you, fam.